Billionaire mocks black waitress in German. Before everyone, she responds like a native. Exposed truth. Grace Miller's alarm rang at 5:30 in the morning in her tiny New York apartment. She got up quietly so she would not wake her sick mother, who was battling cancer. Grace had once been a brilliant student with a PhD in languages from one of the best universities in Europe. But after her mother fell ill, she took a job as a waitress to pay for treatment. Every morning she looked at her framed diploma, hidden behind her work uniform, and reminded herself that titles did not matter when someone you loved needed you. That evening, she went to her job at the Sterling restaurant, a fancy place filled with rich people who never noticed the staff. Her manager told her that a famous businessman named Victor Reynolds was coming, and she would be serving him. When he arrived with his three business partners, all from Germany, Grace greeted them politely. But from the moment she started serving, Victor began treating her badly. He mocked her intelligence and whispered rude jokes about her in German language, believing she could not understand. What he did not know was that Grace spoke the language better than he did. Every insult hit her like a quiet storm, calling her dumb, poor, and worthless, but she stayed calm, knowing that if she lost her temper, she could lose her job, and her mother's medicine depended on that paycheck. Hours passed, and his cruelty got worse until he finally knocked her notepad to the ground and laughed. The whole restaurant went silent. Grace bent down, picked it up, and walked away. Her anger no longer hot, but cold and clear. When she returned, her voice was steady as she spoke, not in English, but in perfect, flawless German. Everyone in the room turned as Grace began repeating Victor's insult word for word, then explained to him and the whole restaurant exactly what he had said. His face turned pale. Grace told him, still in German, that she had a doctorate in linguistics, that her research focused on how powerful people use language to humiliate others, and that he had just proven her theory in public. The restaurant guests were astonished. One man stood up and introduced himself as a Dr. Weber, a retired professor from the same university who confirmed that Grace had graduated with top honors and that her work was still studied in Germany. Phones were recording, reporters were present, Victor's colleague stood, embarrassed, and one even offered Grace a job on the spot, saying, "We need someone like you on our team." Within minutes, Victor's company stock began falling as the videos of the confrontation spread online under the hashtag German Grace. Trying to save himself, Victor offered her a huge sum of money, saying he would pay for her mother's treatment if she deleted the footage. But Grace refused. She told him calmly that if he wanted to make things right, he should resign from his company boards, start a scholarship for struggling students, and spend time working in the service industry he had disrespected. The restaurant broke into applause. Grace quit her job that night with her head held high. The next morning, her story was everywhere on TV, in newspapers, and across social media. Victor did exactly what she demanded, publicly apologized, and started working at a restaurant himself as a part of his punishment. The Sterling restaurant raised all its workers' pay after what happened. Grace Old University called her to offer a teaching position, and within 3 months, she stood in front of a classroom at Columbia University as a professor, speaking to students who, like her, worked late hours to chase their dreams. She looked at them and said, "Every person in this room has something the world doesn't see yet. The question is, when will you stop letting others define who you are?" Her students clapped, their eyes bright with hope. Grace smiled, remembering the night she found her voice and changed her life. And to everyone listening, remember this. People may look down on you, mock your dreams, or underestimate your worth, but their opinion doesn't define you. What defines you is how you rise when they push you down. So, if you believe in dignity, courage, and standing tall against injustice, subscribe to this channel and join the journey because, like Grace Miller, we don't brag and we don't bow, we rise together.